Great, well, welcome back. I hope you had 20 minutes rest and recovery, a nice cup of coffee or something stronger possibly. And we're nearly at the end of the day, and what a great day it's been. And I know a lot of you won't have had a break since probably about February, so you're probably all feeling a bit frazzled and tired. We've got a slight different kind of keynote speaker compared to the other two. We've got Joe Cook, who, if your screen's set up like mine, is on my left, right, can't tell. He's next to me anyway. And he's smiling, so that's always a good sign. And Joe's going to entertain you, I think, for the next half hour is probably just putting it. Joe is a musician and a poet from Birmingham. He works in schools, community centres and pupil referral units, delivering music and creative writing lessons and workshops. I've got a list of things it says you are, but I'll let you be you. Joe, do you want to say a little bit about yourself? And then I know you've got a great video to play people.
Hello everyone, by the way. I hope you've had a great day, and thanks for logging on. I know being the last thing, it can be a bit of a drag, so it means a lot to people here. I hope you get something out of it. My name's Joe Cook. Some people call me Cookie. I've been called worse. I'm from Birmingham. I'm a musician and a poet. It sounded like you said magician, which would be really cool, but I'm a musician. Most of my work is working with young people. In terms of what I do in my day job, so to speak. As mentioned, I work in a couple of pupil referral units, a junior school. I help run a community music project. Kind of a lot of youth engagement stuff, using creativity. My background is playing drums, through playing drums, playing in a couple of bands. I started writing songs. Through being into songwriting, I got into lyricism and spoken word. I've always been a big hip hop head, so I always loved rhyming, and got into lyrics and stuff. So the video I wanted to play for you was something I created in response to being involved in some of the unions, conferences and stuff, and just hearing all these fascinating stories from teachers and parents. Really important thing I forgot to mention, sorry, is I have learning difficulties. I've got dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, triple D, I like to call it, and I have Erling syndrome, which is often called scotopic sensitivity syndrome. So I'm a bit of cocktail of learning difficulties, and that influences a lot of my work, both as an artist. And I don't like calling myself an educator because I think I'm not smart enough to be an educator, but in terms of teaching and youth engagement. So the video I'm going to share with you, it was something we actually created for when the conference was initially going to happen, I believe in March. And obviously because of COVID, it had to be rescheduled and moved into the digital world and stuff like that. So basically, I decided to write a piece just from, as I mentioned, being inspired by some of the speakers I heard at some of these union conferences and stuff. And basically, so I wrote this piece to try and just help the campaign really towards the SND cuts. And the school I work in, I had this idea of I want to make it like accessible, and I want to make it championing visible disabilities. And the school I work in, one day a week, they have a sign language class. And I was like, just mentioned it to the teacher. I just said, like, I've got this poem, and wouldn't it be brilliant if we could find a way to collaborate? And the school just got full force behind it, and we're like, we'll do a video and blah, blah, blah. So it's a bit of a collaboration between me and the young people I work with, my year 5s and year 6s. And my year 6s have now left, they're in year 7. So the poem was written by me, all the signing was done by them. And also something that doesn't get credit, the music that was made was made in, I have an after school club where I do like music production stuff, and that was made by a cohort of my little music crew that come after school and do music. So it's very much a collaboration. So I'm going to share this now then, and let's hope it works.
Oh,
Wicked. So share that, get rid of that, and then load it up here.
If education is the key, a new change the locks. Booted out by the landlord, up the rent you can't afford. Eviction note through the letterbox. If education is the key, a new change the locks. Breach the agreement, tenant eviction, not welcome no more. Not getting a foot in the door, no access, judged by Osiris, like judging by the colour of the iris. because just how we see the world, our interpretation. Imagine that situation. We can't take on any more students with brown eyes, promise to leave none behind, but some don't even make it to the starting line. Hidden disabilities, secrets, like superhero identities, can't take off the mask or the cape. It's a genetic trait, saying by day or by night, didn't need a radioactive spider bite, lose our temper like Bruce Banner, have our fair share of kryptonite. Invisible disabilities, no one noticed, vanishing, disappearing like Griffin, hocus pocus. A classroom is where minds should thrive, not try to survive. Can't keep up with the mainstream current, brain in overload, heading for the rapids, stress, banging away on a desk like Morse code tapping. Joe, your spelling is appalling. Over silent classroom, the teacher yells. Then words ring long after the final bell. The room's still healing. When friends and family be visiting, I'd leave books and magazines open to create the illusion I've been reading. If you judge this book by its cover, make sure you read about the author. Good luck trying to read my blurb. My pages are blurred and my words are moving, trying to focus but they're bobbing and weaving. Wholesale learning, one size fits all. Box ticking, lock picking. I'll believe in equal opportunity when they hand out the skeleton key. They got numbers to crunch and figures to squeeze. They got to subtract the additional needs. And I'm aware money don't grow on trees, but some people own acres and they make it private land. That's just like forest devastation. Sharpening the axe, making cuts like lumberjacks. The Chancellor said austerity is over, but we're still eating from the same leftovers, being shaken by the aftershock. If education is the key, then you change the locks. Let the gavels bang, a child's future's what we demand. Make some noise, more than a claim for money. Spin the lyrics of the Beastie Boys. You gotta fight for the right to study. Architects of the future, with moving parts like Jenga. Make sure there's a strong structure before you build, and not after it crumbles and you're left with rubble. Dismantling the building blocks. If education's the key, then you change the locks.
There you go. Hope you enjoyed that.
Thanks, Joe. That's great. And I was saying to Joe before, I'm actually old enough to have seen the Beastie Boys playing live at the Brixton Academy in the late 80s. So I recognise the sample of the Kings of Samples. So that's great. So thanks for sharing that with us, Joe. That's really moving. And we've got some time now to have a bit of a chat and for people to ask questions and join in. I mean, you're a man of many talents. What's the best way to describe you, would you say, if you had to do so in about 3 words? How do you feel you are?
I made the mistake of like asking my girlfriend today what she would describe me, because and she said, I thought she was going to say like do the dishes or something like that, but she said humble, active, and funny, and I can kind of get where she's on about. So I hope that makes some sense. The activeness, she means that I'm a bit of a scatterbrain and I'm always wanting to do something. I'm always trying to be like productive as I can with every minute of the day. So yeah, and I do enjoy having a laugh. I don't know about the humbleness. I guess you can't say I'm really humble, but yeah, I try and humble myself as much as I can.
Never an easy thing to fess up to, is it? I had drummer, producer, and something else, but
oh yes, that makes a lot more sense. If I was going for a drum, I'd probably put that down after then. Like,
and where's your happy place? What makes you happy out of doing all those things?
I really enjoy creating. I know that might seem quite cliche as like an artist, but I generally love creating stuff.
Yeah.
I just love that as those, I call it the thunderbolt, where like an idea just comes from nowhere, or when you've got an idea and you're trying to flesh it out and it's not working, and then eventually something clicks. So I really love creating. And then the obvious stuff is like, I enjoy spending times with like my friends and family and stuff. But when I'm creating, that's where I feel like, yeah, like myself the most and stuff. So yeah.
How you coping with lockdown? Because like, as a performance poet, there's nowhere to perform, or perhaps there is. Perhaps you're out in your local park.
Yeah,
I don't know.
To be honest, like I've been really lucky during lockdown, because obviously a lot of people in like the kind of arts world, it's just put a stop if you're like a sound engineer or like a venue owner. I've been very lucky that a lot of the work I do has managed to just like move itself into the digital world. But yeah, obviously there's no gigs happening, which is like rubbish, because usually we gig like every weekend or every other weekend and stuff. So yeah, that's rubbish. But I also understand that, like, you know, people are like risking their lives in the NHS and stuff. I can't moan that I haven't been able to play my gig. Like people are going. So it's like, I'm happy to take that. But yeah, it's given me a bit more free time to create, in all honesty, just to home a little bit more. So every cloud and all. But I've done a few gigs online, like this.
Okay.
And it's nice. It's not the same, because it's hard to. I just have these visions that everyone has signed off, and I'm just talking to myself or something like that. But
we all feel a bit like that. Yeah. I find it's hard to be creative when you don't have an audience, but you've got a great answer to it. You're being creative in your room and composing and writing and.
Yeah. I think sometimes I enjoy the process more than like performing. To be honest, I enjoy like just the making. I get as much a buzz as that as I do being on stage, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so it's all good, man.
So I've got down to ask you about Erlen syndrome, but then you said about the 3Ds at the start. So how, I mean, I'll let you define it rather than letting it define you. I mean, how do you describe yourself as opposed to Erlen syndrome, dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, if I got that right?
Yeah.
How do you see yourself within that?
So like, I know like with the notes and stuff, there's a lot about Erlen. So like, to give a bit of context, the Erlen syndrome thing, I was diagnosed with that when I was really young. I was in like year 3. So how old are you in year 3? Like 7 or 8 or something like that. And I know it sounds really stupid. I kind of forgot about it because it was just something I got diagnosed with so young. And it only, my auntie, she was a teacher, and she specialised with working with kids with additional needs eventually. She became more of a TA, but specialising in like learning mentoring and stuff. And she took me to get tested because she thought there was something about it. And I wish I could remember, but I was so young. So I kind of lived with that. And I used to have like coloured sheets to put on my books and bits like that and stuff. And then this dyslexia stuff didn't actually come about till I was in my last year of uni, because I was always convinced I had something else, because I struggled so much with reading and writing and stuff. But my parents were always like, no, you've got this thing that you got you diagnosed with, like you're not dyslexic. But I was adamant and got myself tested when I was in my last year of uni. So it's kind of a new hobby for me, being dyslexic. It's like a new thing I'm trying out, like. So that's a good question finding as well, man. Yeah, it's just part of me, like the same way people have, you know, ginger hair or whatever. It's just part of my like makeup, man. So yeah.
And do you find, I mean, obviously it gives you challenges in life. Do you find there are benefits to it, if that's not a wrong question to ask?
No, I don't think that's a wrong question to ask. I think you phrase it really well, because I get annoyed when people say like he suffers with, and I just think that's a really bad use of language, because like I don't get up and like play a little violin and be like, why can't I spell? Like, I don't suffer with it. It's just like, it's part of you. Like, so to answer your question though, sorry, for me as a creative and a freelance person, freelancer, not freelance person, that sounds really unprofessional. My brain's just always going in like 20 different directions. So I don't think I could do what I do without it, because I'll be thinking about, I want to write this thing, or the band's song, or I've got this workshop, or this. It allows me to like spin a lot of plates. Yeah. Every now and then they smash, but it allows me to multitask a bit like that. And I get these kind of tunnel vision about something where, like, say I'm in a workshop and a kid says like, oh, I want to make a drum and bass track. I'll be like, okay. And I'll like want to research like what BPM is it? What sounds do I need? I get quite like infatuated with things like it. And I think that's kind of Erlen. It's like, I always say to people, it's like having 20 internet tabs open in your brain at once, and you're just like flicking between them and that, man. Like, so, yeah.
It's the art of being creative, not being afraid to fail, isn't it? You know, you try things, and if they work, they do. If they don't, you try it. Yeah.
I think there's that thing of like, there's not really a wrong or right answer with creativity as well. It's not. It's not physics. It's not maths or something where this is the square root. It's like, if that's what you feel, if that's what you interpret it as, then that's fine. So okay. And you're in a room full of school leaders and heads and middle leaders and everything else, which is stuff and nightmares for some people. And so thanks for turning up, apart from anything else, and being in this bear bit.
how did you find school? I mean, what would how would you describe your school days in front of a group of educators?
Yeah, like I always had it in my head that I like hated it from year 6 onwards. That I think in junior school it was a bit more entertaining and a bit more like bouncing around and kind of a bit more like that. But then when I speak to my parents about it, my mum was like, "No, you always hated it," kind of thing. You were always like difficult to get to do homework or whatever. So the social side of it I enjoyed. Like I had a lot of friends and stuff, and like I met people that I'm still friends with now. And but in terms of the education, I just found it really difficult, to be honest. I just always found it a bit subpar, and I used to actually like try, which is what used to annoy me. I wasn't one of these kids that could like revise the day before a test and smash it. Like I would like spend months prepping and then like fail, and it was like that kind of thing that used to like really do my head in. So it was just a bit of a vicious cycle. Without getting too dark and stuff, I feel like I was quite an angry young man till I was about 18, through various stuff, through like things going on in my family and stuff, and like and I think it was just became a vicious cycle at school that I was a bit of a nightmare to some of the teachers, so they can't be bothered with you, and it just goes round and round like that. And there was teachers along the way that were brilliant as well. I don't want to sound like I'm just slating all of them, but there was also, I had this thing of like being a bit like, why should I bother if you're not gonna bother, kind of thing.
Again, that goes hand in hand with being creative and being a leader, isn't it? The fact that you're prepared to shake things up a bit and risk getting that kind of feedback. So did you feel you achieved what you wanted to out of school? You feel that you came out?
I never really had like academic goals really, because I always just felt like I wasn't built for that world, like really.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as like an insult either to like the education system. It's just the same way as like not everyone's going to be an astronaut. Like I was just like not everyone's going to be like an A-star student, and like that was, or whatever. It's all numbers now, isn't it? That's how like old I am.
Instance then.
Yeah. But I just never felt like it was for me. And I was lucky that I just think I was lucky that I had interests. If you know what I mean, I was interested in music, and I was interested in like creativity. So that was my thing. Like I wasn't bothered about, and I'm not saying this is right, like, but I wasn't bothered about like algebra. I would rather be sitting at home, like practicing my drums and stuff like that. Like it was like, I think having an interest, school was just something I had to go and do. I don't want to say like prison, because that's not what I mean, but it was like I had to do my time and leave. I had to like turn up, do the day, then I could do what I wanted. So it was just that kind of, I don't know if that answers your question, but it was just, I never really had academic goals, if you know what I mean. It was more of a personal thing, or my extracurriculum stuff, which was my driving force.
Which is what you achieved. So it does answer it, doesn't it? If you could go back, what would you say to your teachers?
To teach?
Got room for them, go on.
Keep it clean. No, what would I say? To be honest, like, there was a few teachers along the way that I'd like to thank, in terms of like they allowed you to be an individual. And I think sometimes education is so like pushing people into like a one shoe fits all kind of like model of thinking. So they allowed me to like be an individual and ask me about my interests and stuff like that. But what would I say to them? I don't know what I'd say to them, to be honest, because I know this, again, this sounds dark. I don't remember a lot of it. And I think part of that is like my brain just like putting it aside, that it was quite a stressful, not traumatic, because people go through way worse trauma than that, but it was quite a phase in my life I didn't enjoy. So I just think I don't really have like a lot of memory of it, because it was just like a thing that I just needed to get done before I could start.
That's right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think that's how the brain works, doesn't it? You don't remember when you're going through, particularly hard, stressful times, and it's nature's way of helping you cope. So I completely get that. Yeah. And what would you say to yourself if you could talk to yourself at age 12, 13, 14?
You're not going to get any taller. You're not like this is the height you're going to be forever. No.
See, I can't tell. This.
I am sitting down. So to be honest, I think I would say not to be so harsh on myself, because I think I was I wasn't made to feel by everyone. I know I keep sitting here, like, I bet these people are thinking, what have I log done? Like, I bet I'm just getting berated. But it was like, I often felt like I was made to feel subpar. And like I said, I was someone that generally tried as well. So it was like, I always felt like what I did wasn't good enough, which is obviously rubbish, because like whatever's good for that person is good for that person. But I would tell myself not to be so harsh. I used to get quite upset and frustrated and annoyed. But it's just like, if that's the best you can do, Joe, that's the best you can do, and that's fine, like kind of thing. And I was always, I'm not a perfectionist at all, but it was just more, yeah, like just kind of like being like, you're all right how you are, man. Just focus on what's good for you, and things will be all right. Rather than, oh my God, I did rubbish on this spelling test, I'm going to be homeless or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, which I think sometimes you're made to feel. And I used to have a lot of arguments with more at college than school, to be honest, with about music, when they were just like, sorry, I think something's going on. Like, there's a big banging next door. I don't know what the hell's going on. So I'm sorry if that. I'm sorry if that's coming through.
Not picking it up. So
yeah, it's not me. Like,
I'll let you know if anyone comes crashing in behind you. But you're all right at the moment.
yeah.
Someone's put in the chat you were not alone. Sorry, Joe. Someone's put in the chat you were not alone when you were saying all that, and I mean, it chimes with me. I'm sure it chimes with loads of people here. You know, not to be so hard on yourself. Be a maximalist. Don't be a perfectionist. If it's good enough, it's good enough. You know.
Yeah, so, and it's just that things of like ability levels, and it like there's that thing of like because I had some friends that went to a grammar school when it was just like if they got below like a B, that was like insane. Like that was, you know, you'd be cast out. And it's like I was aiming for like D's. So it's just like I get everyone. You want to get the best out of people. You want people to achieve their full potential, but I just think there was too much of like, this is the potential, and if you're not here, you're not with it. You know what I mean? So I think I just would have been a bit more like, I tried my best, and that's all that matters, kind of thing. Because I think hard work is more important than like raw talent. Like I think you can learn to graft, you'll go a bit further. Like,
that's how you achieve anything, by doing it, isn't it? Yeah. I get that. Okay, a lot of love in the room for you. Someone's put love listening to you. Very thought provoking. I'm sure many teenagers in school would love to hear you. So yeah, you're hitting a nerve there. That's great. Was there any key pivotal points in your school career when you suddenly thought, yeah, this is what I'm going to do? Actually, I'm going to be a poet and drummer. Like you said, you realise you're not going to be an astronaut. I think for me, that's when I realised I was going to be too tall to be an astronaut. But perhaps it was different for you. But was there a point where you said, yeah, this is who I'm going to be, and I'm happy with that?
Yeah, I'm trying to within the school environment, because the music thing came from just my uncle's like an amazing guitarist, and his band played at one of my other uncle's weddings, and like it just blew my head off, and I was just like, I want to be a musician. I didn't know like how or what, and I was only like 6 years old, so since I was 6, all I wanted. In terms of the poetry, I remember that we had to do war poetry in like year 9 or something like that, and I used to do my homework because I didn't want to be at school any longer than I had to be. So I was like a goody two shoes when it comes to homework. Like, no way I'm staying for an extra 20 minutes, man. Like I'll do this or whatever. So I wrote this poem about being in the trenches or something like that.
Yeah.
My parents were a bit like, where's this come from? And I remember it was the only time I got sent to the head for something like good, I asked me to like read it in front of them. But I never knew poetry was like a thing you could do, if you know what I mean. I was just interested in music, so that was definitely a bit of a light bulb moment where I knew I could make words rhyme, and I enjoyed doing it. And then the music stuff, the pivotal moment, honestly, was just when my dad got me drum lessons, and I was fortunate enough to be in a social economic position where we could afford that. But I know, like for certain people, like music lessons it's out of their reach and stuff like that. Like paying like £25. So I was fortunate enough that my dad could afford to get me drum lessons, and I'd been interested in it. And we used to like sing hymns at school, and we had like a little band. And I know, my parents are both atheists. I don't know why.
We won't ask you to do that now.
Like, you know, well, my family's Maltese and Irish, so I'm the most Catholic atheist you'll ever meet. But yeah, like, and I used to always just watch whoever was like playing the kit. I just naturally had this, like, it interests me. So when my dad finally took me for lessons, that was like, it was just like the the thing in the puzzle just clicked, and I had a reason. Yeah, self and that, like, if you know what I mean. So
yeah. Because the disadvantage about being a drummer is you've got to have a room big enough to set your kit up, and then you've got to have access to a van to carry it around rather than your guitar in your amp or whatever.
Yeah, man, I wish I could have played Tin Whistle or something like that.
Makes life easier. Okay, what do you think the main challenges are facing young people at the moment? I mean, I know it's in the middle of lockdown, we've all got that, but it's like, how did you get through? How would you encourage young people to get through?
I think obviously it depends what age demographic you're talking about. Like, I work in, for example, like in the pupil referral units I work with, some of them just have such insane home lives. Like, what is normal for them is just what they've been normalized to. They're just sometimes to do with role models, and I'm not saying that's the parents at all, but sometimes just like their surroundings and the whatever and what they've been exposed to at a young age. It's very hard to unpick. And I think lockdown for some young people, being at home isn't a good place to be. It's not a safe space. So I think that's a massive issue right now that I don't think people, particularly government, are really thinking about as well. Like, for me, those people, we use these terms like vulnerable when we talk about the elderly or people like diabetes. But for me, like kids from disadvantaged backgrounds who might be living in single parents, or maybe their parents have mental health or struggle with addiction and stuff like that. Like, they're vulnerable, man. They're like really vulnerable. And so obviously that's just taking lockdown into that. I think in terms of what I'm interested in terms of my like, I don't want to say my people, but my like kids with additional needs. Yeah, it's just the same old thing, but it's just that thing of like, I think there's a difference between intelligence and getting a test right. I think there's a difference between schooling and education and stuff like that. And I think so much pressure is put on staff to hit targets and to blah, blah, blah. When you might have this kid that won't even sit still, but he's mad into football, or he's an amazing lyricist. And rather than being able to switch things up a bit, to allow him to grow in an area where he feels confident, and that flexibility isn't there. And that's why I feel so lucky in the work I do, that I just get to do what I want, basically, when I work in a school. And for that hour, and I'm not right, I'm not saying I know any better than anyone else, like, but I get to put across what I think is important, and get to build on skills which I think, or what I think is interesting, and hopefully the kids enjoy it, rather than, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I just think I think there's a thing of like I keep saying these cliches, but the one, like, we learn about kinesthetic and we learn about visual, and I don't know how much of that is really ever put in place, continue. Like, if you had a kid that struggles to sit still, might have ADHD, his brain is bouncing around left, right and centre, and we're like, right, we're going to do silent reading for an hour. So it's like, that's just not going to work. But I also understand that you've got teachers like yourselves who've got classes of 30 kids where you can't like individually tailor it to each person. And I think that's a struggle as well. And that's what I enjoy about the Proofs, because there's less kids. When they come in my room, each of my lessons is different, because it's you're into this, you're into that, you'll want to do this, you want to do that, and I have the flexibility to do that because it's like more predominantly one-to-one, like so it's just so I think that's a big issue, and I do think lockdown in general is having way more impact on young people than we're discussing. I'm not like a child psychiatrist, so I'm not going to what that is, but I just think like, I've got some drum students who are like 16, and like that turning point in your life where you're like leaving school, you might have your prom, you go college, all that was just like bang, just like gone within an instant. It was like they went into school and it was like, today's your last day, off you go. And like just these really important transitions have just been like messed about with. And I know people go like, oh, we fought in wars and blah 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 and all that, and I get that. And then look how that turned out. My granddad fought, both my grandparents served, and like war messed their head up as young men and stuff. So it's like, like I just think there's more of that, needs more like empathy, really, to be honest. That's
great, Joe. And that everything you said does answer my questions, and they're just there as a prompt. And it's great to have you in full flow and just get your take on it all, really. So thank you for all that. I'm sort of conscious of the time. We're at 3:30, and we sort of getting rapidly towards the conference close. So is there something you'd like to say while you've got the floor? I know you've done, come see us at exec meetings here at NHC. Is there anything you'd like to say to people gathered here in terms of a takeaway message for them?
Oh,
so
man.
they go back to their settings and
yeah. What would it be? Okay, I don't know if it's like relevant or anything to what I know we talk about behaviour and stuff, but I just think I think the value of art and music is really slept on in terms of education. So that would be, if I could get on my pedestal about anything, it would be that, because I'm an example of someone that really struggled academically, and through my ability to play drums allowed me to go to college, which allowed me to go to university, which now, okay, the poetry came along the way in a bit of a random like way, but creativity allowed me to do all these things which like I remember when my mate was trained to be a teacher and you have to do like a maths and English test, like I would have definitely failed that, but like because of creativity I'm in a position where I'm now working in education institutions and stuff like that. So if I had to say anything, it would just be like, I know people have to make really difficult cuts and decisions and things like that, but please hold on to like the art as best as you can. Like get rid of clay. I don't like clay. Clay making can go, but no, I'm joking. But like just like I think if you can encourage as much theatre, breakdancing, graffiti, beatboxing, whatever, like I just really think there's a massive value in it. And you're getting a lot of academics now starting to link the it with psychology and stuff, and they're seeing the mental health well-beings. But it's always been that way since people have always been creating for their own passion and love and feel good, and now all of a sudden people are paying attention. So I just think if I could say anything, it would be please, don't sleep on creativity.
Brilliant. Okay, more drum and bass and less clay is what I've written now. That's a good take-home message. And a lot of love for your video, and people keen to be able to share it around and show it to people. Are you happy for us to do that? We can.
No, please do. It was fully created to try and support the campaigning and stuff like that, and just to if it can. I know it's like cliche, like if it can help one person, but not that, because I'm not like a savior or nothing like that. I'm not. My name is Joe Cook, JC. But other than that, I just please share it around. Like we've only just put subs on it, so if people would rather have the subtitles, I will get the subtitle version uploaded. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for being with us this afternoon, Joe. It's been really great. Really enjoyed the video. Nice talking to you. Nice to meet you properly for the first time. And thanks. And hang around. And I hope by the magic of television that Marika will magically appear on screen. There she is. Look at that. And she's on mute as well. Oh, she's off mute. Great. So I'm gonna drop out and I'll let Marika take us out of the house. So Marika,
there's no challenge. Thank you so much. I know you don't want to hear much from me at this time of day. We're all very busy at Tide School Leaders. Thank you, Joe, so much. It's just great to see you again and hear from you. Wonderful end to the day. Colleagues, a fantastic day, and I do hope that you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Thank you for your stamina and for keeping coming back for all the sessions. Again, a really sincere thank you to everyone that's contributed, both behind the scenes and on the screens. I would normally wish you a very safe journey home at this point, which of course I do, but for some of you, this might be from the spare room to the kitchen. So whatever you're doing, however you're traveling, a safe journey. Very sincerely hope that I'll see you again next year. If you enjoyed it today, bring a friend next year. And of course, I wish you all a very restful and restorative Christmas break when it comes. But above all, take very, very good care of yourselves, and see you next year.